All right, so we're going to start off talking about section 2.1, which is our basic set concepts. Basically, this involves a lot of terminology that we need to go ahead and know before we start talking about these things called sets. So when we're talking about a set is a collection of objects. Okay, that's all it is. It could be numbers, it can be physical objects, it can be words, it can be all sorts of things. A set must also be something what we call well-defined. Okay, so a set that is well-defined, we know all the members that are in that set. We have to be able to know which members belong to that set. Okay, so members as well as elements are used to describe what's inside of a set. Okay. And we have three different ways we can go ahead and express sets. Okay. First, we can just write words. Okay, we can use something called roster method. And we can use something called set builder. Now, you may have heard the term set builder if you took intermediate algebra or algebra 2. We talked about this idea of set builder notation when talking about inequalities. So these are things that you may have heard before. We always use capital letters to go ahead and describe a set. Okay, so if I have a set, I could call it capital B. Okay, B is the name of my set, and it's always a capital letter. Okay, well, let's talk about my elements. What kind of elements would I like to have here? How about days of the week? Okay, because that's very well defined. Okay, so if I want to write the days of the week as a set, all right, I could say B is the set of days in the week. Sorry, I'm running out of room there. Okay, so I could just write it out in words. It's no big deal. I can also write it as something that's called roster method. Now, what roster method does is it takes our capital letter B, sets it equal to, and then we use these things we call braces, and we actually write the days of the week in there. So I would put Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and there's no abbreviating, you got to write it out. Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, almost there, Sunday. And then I closed off with a set of braces, and these really should be capitalized too. So this, and this should be capitalized. Okay, and that is my roster method. If I wanted to use set builder for the same elements, okay, set builder starts with the set. Our set is B, gives an equal sign, and then again we're using the braces. Okay, and we're going to say we have X. So this is the set of all elements X, such that X is a day of the week. We're running out of room again. And I'm going to close it off with a set of braces. Okay. So what we have here is the set B is the set of all elements X such that X is a day of the week. Okay, so that's how we go ahead and use to go ahead and describe sets. Okay, so I can ask you to go ahead, I could give you a set of elements and ask you either word description, roster method, or set builder notation. Okay, I'm working from the workbook and I'm going to look at example 1. Okay, and it says express the set using roster method, and it gives us O is equal to set of all x such that x is a positive number less than 10. And it wants us to go ahead and give us that in a roster method. So roster method is our set O. It is equal to, now remember with roster method, I actually have to list these numbers. So I want positive numbers less than 10. Okay. Oh, it says positive odd numbers. I'm sorry. Totally did not. Positive odd numbers less than 10. So my odd numbers less than 10 are 1, 3, 5, 7, and 9. Okay. Now notice, because I said they were positive odd numbers, I don't include anything on the negative side. I could ask that also, and you would have to list it in a slightly different way, which we'll talk about in a little bit. All right. We also have something when we talk about sets called an empty set or the null set. And it's real important to understand what constitutes the empty set or the null set. This has no elements. Easy enough, right? Empty. Okay? The empty set is only arranged by either an empty set of braces or the 0 with a slash mark through it. Okay? Not this. And some of you have seen this before. This is not appropriate to use to go ahead and tell us what the empty set is. So please do not go ahead and use that notation. Okay? I'm going to go ahead and look at example 3. Okay? And I want which of the following is an empty set. Okay? Part A says I have the elements of x such that x is a number, and I'm going to abbreviate here because you have it in front of you, less than 3 or greater than 5. And it's written out in words. I'm writing it out in symbols. Okay, so is this an empty set? Well, no, because I can have numbers less than 3. There's a lot of numbers less than 3. And there's a lot of numbers greater than 5. Okay, so all the numbers less than 3, I can include all those. I can't include the ones in here, but then I can include all the numbers greater than 5. This is not an empty set. Right? If we look at part B, I have the elements of x such that x is a number less than 3 and greater than 5. Okay. Notice here I have the word and. Okay, this means a number has to be both less than 3 or greater than 5. There is no number that is both less than 3 or greater than 5. So this constitutes an empty set. Okay. Part C is nothing. It says the word nothing. This is not a set of any kind. Remember, a set has to be clearly defined. This does not define anything. And then, of course, D is what I told you just not to do. This is absolutely not. Okay? So go ahead and try example 4 on your own, and I'll meet you back on the other side to go ahead and finish talking about the section.